Welcome to Scrum Down. This is your one-stop shop for all matters rugby. I'm your host, Larry Asego, joined by Jotham and Jason. And today we are going to be looking at matters school rugby. Now, over the weekend, we had fantastic rugby action from the schools. We had the Damu Pevu finals and, of course, the Prescott Cup. Now, just starting off with Jason, I mean, the Damu Pevu game, it was an interesting one. We had Patch. They are playing Mwiri Mushiri School. Now, Mwiri Mushiri have just been around for like 4 years playing rugby.
Yeah, they've been around for a very short time. Caused a big upset over the weekend.
Yes.
And fantastic.
Nairobi School were just not there. Jason?
No, it's interesting. I mean, the change in fortunes for Patch has been incredible. I don't know whether it's the focus on academia that has caused the change in fortunes, but it's a school with such deep heritage in rugby. It's shocking.
I know Jotham is itching to get into the action. So before we come to the analysis, we were there over the weekend to catch all the fantastic rugby action from the Damu Pevu finals and the Prescott Cup. And this is what Scrum Down has for you.
The curtains came down on the Prescott Cup 2014. The parties involved were regular contenders Lenana School, better known as Mean Maroon, and newcomers Laser Hill. Lenana has not been on the big stage for a while, always falling at the last hurdle. Laser Hill, on the other hand, are the shock finalists in their first season in Prescott, having been promoted early this year when they won the Damu Pevu Shield. Lenana thought they had the best of starts, landing an early penalty converted by Daniel Faraj after just 6 minutes. The action was well balanced after that, with all the teams giving as much as they soaked in the tense final. Liam Bidi drew Laser Hill level with a penalty. Joel Nzuga broke the deadlock just before halftime with a try that was converted to take a 10-3 lead to the break. But the Mean Maroon would not take it lying down. They came out with their guns blazing in the second half. The result, a try by Bevan Kurgat. Laser Hill stretched the lead to 13-8 with another Mbidi. Then the icing on the cake was a try by Kelvin Kioko, who put some distance between the two sides. The score's 18-8. Daniel Faraj scored a consolation for Lenana to lose 18-13.
First, I just like to thank God because we have come from far, and the hard work always pay. We have trained hard. I've talked to my boys. They listen to me as a captain, and coaches has done his work. So it was now us to do our work, and we have done it.
Laser Hill celebrate their maiden Prescott win, the first upon promotion from the Damu Pevu Shield. At the same venue, little-known Mohoro Moshiri caused another upset in the Damu Pevu Shield final. Mohoro Moshiri beat Nairobi School 13-6 as Nairobi School failed to break through past the Mohoro Moshiri try line.
We had already been prepared well, and we always dreamed to reaching the finals, and I feel good because I've represent the school well up to the finals, and I thank my teammates.
The winners scored 2 tries and a penalty for the historic win. The finals involved 5 matches, 3 of them for the lower schools competition.
Just remind you once again, you can get in touch with us on Facebook, that is Scrum Down. Also on Twitter, @ScrumDownRugby. Now, that was the action over the weekend. The biggest upset of the weekend, of course, Jotham, was Mwiri Mushiri beating Nairobi School. I mean, who would have thought?
Who would have thought? First of all, I think I'm in a better position since I'm more neutral. Unfortunately for me, I missed out. I missed out on Kenyan high school rugby history, and it's just something I've had to come to learn about, read about, especially playing club rugby and etc. and interacting with people like you. But then it's I think Nairobi School missing out. It wasn't really an upset. I think it's just showing that rugby in Kenya is developing. I think it's something we had to talk about before in previous shows. This is the development we want, and two things happen with development. If you've been at the top for quite a long time and you refuse to change and adapt, you get a bit comfortable thinking that, to take some time for something to totally,
Yes.
pull you out or unseat you. And sometimes you get lax and you don't do as much as the other teams that are really, really hungry.
But laxity to that
But
extent.
just again, let me just disclaim. I'm not saying that's the issue with Nairobi School. I have no. Maybe it's an issue of academics, different priorities. Who knows? Who knows? But now that you mentioned laxity, I think Kenya as a rugby nation is developing. And I think it's time that's something that even Nairobi School probably sat down and realized what route do they want to follow. I mean, if this was an upset, and clearly I can see, Jason, yourself, you were surprised by that. Larry, you seem to be a bit happy.
No, I'm happy. I'm happy because one, Edward Drombo is going to keep quiet finally about Patch Machine and the way they were very powerful back then. But if you look at Mwiri Mushiri, I mean, 4 years ago, nobody knew they were playing rugby until the weekend, an upset against Nairobi School.
No, let me tell you one thing, Larry and Jotham. It's testament to what's happening in the game across the country. Even you scale it up to Kenya Cup, level. You've got teams from outside of Nairobi who are genuine contenders in the competition. So it's a fantastic thing. It is an upset, and like Jotham has said, teams that get comfortable at the top, you get found out.
Well, that is too much comfort for me. The other game, of course, was the final of the Prescott Cup. Now, actually, that means that Nairobi School remain in Damu-Pevu.
Yep.
They're not going to be promoted to Prescott Cup. Now, Prescott Cup was the big one, Laser Hill, and they were taking on Lenana in a very physical game. Laser Hill, they had some laxity once in a while in terms of, for example, defense. We had the hooker being sent off for high tackle. Those are the kind of things that creep in slowly with the issues of like fitness. I mean, you're a fitness coach. How can you talk about, for example, the issue of high tackles? I mean, getting off the ground late.
No, I think at this age, it's time to rule those things out and pluck them out of the game, because at that age, the moment the players start getting involved in those sort of tackles, it carries on towards their career.
True.
And as a coach, one of the things we do is try and explain to the players how to conduct themselves on the pitch, the safety being paramount in any training session.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in terms of safety and coaching, the coaches actually for Laser Hill, we have Kevin Wambua and Kevin Atandi, who are actually taking the team up. And Laser Hill actually managed to clinch victory against Lenana School, who have actually a rich history in Prescott Cup matters.
But to give credit to Lenana School, I think the game was a game of two halves, because the first half, Lenana School really brought it. They had a bigger pack. No, they had a smaller pack, actually.
Yes.
They had a small pack than Laser Hill. And they played the structure well, and they actually brought it to the team. And I think, unless I am mistaken, I think the score by the half point was 3-0. Then the second half came in.
Yes.
And this is where we talk about development. We have a good number of those players in Laser Hill actually have some ESS experience. And they also have we have some of the players, I think, playing in the under-19 squad,
Yes.
the Kenya Rugby Union. So I think those boys brought in a bit of what, let me call it experience. Experience does not necessarily come with age, but it comes with exposure. So the exposure and the experience they brought in settled the game. And the second half became something totally different. And we know what the results were. But then also the other side of the coin will be, if he saw the gap, he backed himself up, and he did manage to score the try. And that's why we're still talking about it today. We can't really
The turn
blame
of
him.
pace was fantastic,
Yeah.
and I think that sort of credit needs to go to the coaching. When you condition and prepare your players, even at that level, it was sevens rugby on during the 15th game.
True.
It was a fantastic try.
So
And,
according to you, it was a brilliant try.
that's a brilliant try.
You wouldn't fault him in any way.
No.
I know
Unless
coaches.
he was tackled.
I know coaches who would have a rough time accepting that kind of that style of play. They would accept the try, yes, but they would say it with a pinch of salt, like, "Hey, don't do that ever again."
But sometimes you have those individuals in a game structure who just have a way of making things spark. They do what we call the impossible. We have the structure, yes.
Yes.
But sometimes the flair is what makes the game a bit more exciting.
Well, Laser Hill, of course, have been crowned the champions of Prescott Cup in this season for the schools after upsetting Lenana School. And, of course, the big upset for the weekend was Mwiri Mushiri taking on a Nairobi School. And I know some Nairobi School alumni who are actually just very, very irritated by that kind of score. I think, actually, some of them might actually go back to the school to demand to see the head of sports.
Or play again.
Come out of retirement, yeah.
Welcome back to Scrum Down. Just remind you, we'd love to hear all your comments and views on the show. You can send us your comments on our Facebook page, that is Scrum Down. Also follow us on Twitter at Scrum Down Rugby, and give us your insight on what you think. Right now, though, we are moving on to player profiles, and we're going to be profiling a player who started his career in St. Mary's School, Yala, and thereafter he joined the Impala RFC, finishing at Kenya Harlequins before going out of the country to play his rugby in France at Saint-Nazaire. This is Teddy Omondi.
30-year-old Ted Omondi is a product of St. Mary's High School, Yala, another breeding ground for top rugby players in Kenya. Teddy Philip Omondi did not get into the rugby pitch by choice. It is a sport that he was introduced to by a close friend and one of the greatest rugby players in Kenya, Derek Wamalwa. It has been an 8-year stint as a professional rugby player in France.
Currently, I'm playing in France for a club called Sporting Rugby Nazarian. It's called Saint-Nazaire, and I'm coming to the end of my contract, so I'm signing to a new club called Van.
By default, Kisumu RFC was the closest club to St. Mary's School in Yala, and that was his first club. In Nairobi, he played for two of the Ngong Road rivals, Impala RFC and then Kenya Harlequins. Within 2 years, Teddy had moved to Wales in the UK on a sports scholarship. He was studying and playing for the national sevens team, then he got a lucky break.
I got lucky to be spotted by the manager of Racing Metro, Eric Blanc, when we were playing in IRB Sevens 2005. And I was 2006, sorry, and I was offered a 1-year contract with the Racing Metro.
When Teddy played in Kenya, he was quite small in size as compared to the massive winger that he is at the moment. 9 years of rugby in France has contributed to the massive gain. It is part of the job.
For the years I've been bulking up, because when I got to Racing Metro I was 88 kilograms. And I remember my first 1 month of training was very hard, because they had to put me up in a gym, because I was playing wing. All the other wingers were 95 plus. So I had to add 6 or 7 kilograms to be more competitive.
Ted says rugby in France is more structured, with more grassroots involvement right from schools to colleges to clubs at all levels. Age grade rugby is taken more seriously, going as low as under 9, as compared to Kenya, where players like Ted start the basics of rugby at 15 years of age. Ted was one of the greatest rugby sevens players, with a burst of speed and a quick step.
It requires a lot of adaptation, and I would honestly tell you right now, I am more of a 15s player than a 7s player. But going back 5 years back, I preferred 7s to 15s.
Living in a foreign country can be a challenge, especially if you do not speak the language. For Ted, it was the case that was helped by former Kenya national football team captain Dennis Oliech, who plays for the French League 2 side Ajaccio.
Well, Dennis was a good friend, and he's still a good friend. We hung out a lot, and but now, since he's moved towns to a different city, we see each other less, but we try and communicate from here and there. He was in France before I got there, so when I got there, he helped me know my way around a little bit.
With the Kenya 15s team missing to qualify for the Rugby World Cup, falling at the last hurdle, Omondi feels this was a good effort and is the result of the hard work of the different generations of rugby over the years.
It means the work that has been there over the years is bearing fruit, not necessarily for the current generation, but for the upcoming players who want to play rugby, who want to be identified with the game. They will know that there's a possibility for them to play at the highest level of rugby available on the planet, which is the World Cup.
He's already planning for the future, taking coaching classes other than playing rugby. What he is learning, he is putting into practice, currently helping out with the under-19 Kenya team before heading back to France for the start of the new season.
I'm studying with the FFR rugby degrees. I've done up to the 3rd level. I'm going to do my 4th level this year. Afterwards, you do Masters 1 and Masters 2. Masters 1, you're looking at coaching a fully professional side and a national side. Masters 2, you're looking at developing the game and going regional. So it's more of administrative stuff. But I would really love to stay in the field as I love to be talking to guys and be more involved in the game, at the heart of the game.
With a new team and a new contract, Omondi is rearing to go to put in at least 3 more years of rugby in France.
That is Teddy Omondi, playing his rugby right now at Saint-Nazaire. And of course, he joins a host of other players who are actually plying the trade outside the country. I don't know if you had a chance to play against Teddy Omondi. He was in the class of, 2004. So probably most of us didn't play against him. But he's actually a very solid fullback and a solid winger.
No, it's a fantastic opportunity. It's glad to hear our players, developing in the system and plying their trade out there. Like you said, he joins an exclusive club of players, Derek Omalwa, more recently William Baka as well, who are playing in Europe, and it's fantastic exposure. And it just shows that we've got guys who can play at that level, play out there, and it's fantastic. It's great news for him, and wish him all the best out there.
And of course, all the best with not only the rugby, but also with his French, because for you to have to make some of those rugby calls, you got to speak a bit of French.
So that is Teddy Omondi, Larry.
Definitely. No, but actually, I spoke to him a couple of times, and his French is really improving. So he's playing a trade at Saint-Nazaire, and of course, he's doing it for a living, as a career. And not very many people get a chance to do what they love as a career. Jotham, you're itching there. You're itching.
No, I just want to say it's good. It just shows exactly the kind of class of players we have here. Now, hopefully, in due time, we'll be able to now have systems and a structure within the country that will allow those players to actually earn a living from playing rugby locally. And that's what I can say. That's my biggest dream for Kenyan rugby.
Just remind you once again, our Facebook is Scrumdown. Look for us on Twitter at Scrumdown Rugby. Give us all your comments and views on the show. I've got one, Janice. Janice, you say that you're Pandey a banana and you're absolutely enjoying the show. You'd like to see more history of the clubs, and you haven't seen any club rugby from Upande Banana. Do you actually have rugby in that side of town? I don't think so. I think most of them just come to play rugby either at Mwamba, KCB, in town. But it's good.
Harlequins.
Okay, Kenya Harlequins. Now we're moving on to legends, and today we focus on a player, coach, who has taken Impala RFC from humble beginnings to greatness. He was there for a very long time, and everybody knows him. Soft-spoken, but he knows exactly what he's doing on the pitch. This is Bill Githinji.
He is one of the unsung heroes of Kenya rugby. Both as a coach and a player, Bill Githinji has been impressive in his roles. He is another one-club player, having served Impala RFC for 17 years. The last 4 years, he played as a player coach, grooming some of the best players for Impala and Kenya.
If you look at it, I mean, all these guys now are still in rugby administration or something like that, and it makes me happy.
He joined Impala while still in school. This made it difficult to train consistently because of balancing schoolwork and rugby.
86 actually came on a serious note. I think I trained twice and made the first team that weekend. Playing fullback, which was amazing. It's an amazing position.
Githinji played for Kenya during the All Africa Games in 1987 at just 18 years of age.
I'd read through quite a bit, and I thought, why not bring up the young guys and teach them what they ought to know.
So 4 years as a player coach prepared him for the task ahead, coaching Impala full-time as a coach without the player responsibility. The transformation was amazing, as Impala won the Kenya Cup League and the Enterprise Cup double 3 years in a row, 2000, 2001 and in 2002. When he moved to coach the Kenya Sevens team, many did not give him a chance, given that Kenya was also not a rugby powerhouse in Sevens rugby.
I've coached KCB for 1 year, and I coached Homeboys for like 6 games. It's exciting going to coach players you don't know. It's a matter of teaching them new things and getting them to listen to your ideas and try and implement those ideas.
Most of the players he coached at KCB way back in 2008 are still playing, and Githinji says he is proud to sit back and watch that group of players still winning trophies through the seasons. Since he left coaching the national team, Githinji says a lot has changed, with coaching now taking a scientific direction among other changes.
Rugby now has gone to another level. There's a lot more conditioning, there's a lot more strength, the contact point is a lot harder than it used to be then. The rules basically remain the same, though I think the rules now favor those who are stronger, which is, I mean, for any kind of position, whether you're playing fullback or you're playing hooker, you all need your strength and conditioning to be up to scale.
On the local scene, Bill feels that the game has grown and expanded to levels they could not dream of back in the days. More participants has resulted in more competition in the sport.
We're very, very competitive at this point. It can only get better. More clubs actually getting sponsorship, and meaning that more clubs actually taking rugby a lot more seriously than we used to in our days. The game has also, there's been a wide expansion of the game. You're seeing good teams now coming from places like Western Kenya. You're seeing the Kenya Cup now has 12 teams, which I don't think is a good thing. I think it has just been limited to 10. And we can see that the game also from the junior level is actually really growing. I think in our days we didn't have more than 500 players or so. Now I think we have close to 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000 players.
Bill Githinji, who is an IRB Level 2 certified coach, is now a coach educator, serving the many aspiring coaches that have come up with the formation of many rugby teams in the country.
Well, Bill Githinji, probably one of the best icons of rugby in Impala. I mean, that's where he played his entire trade. He played there. He trained the Kenya Sevens as well.
No, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head when you said the most soft-spoken, unassuming guy you'd ever meet. I mean, I was doing my level 2 sevens coaching, and he was the guy who did our assessment. And you know, when I saw him come out of the car, I thought, oh, we're in for a long day. And when he opened his mouth, I was like, wow, this is a guy I can talk to. But what a guy, what a player, what a coach. Put Kenya Sevens on the map.
Yes.
You know, I think it's his hard work that, you know, set the foundation for where we are today.
True, because he coached the likes of Oscar Osir, Benjamin Aimba, and of course, I mean, he gave his life to Impala rugby, and of course, it gave back to the country in terms of sevens. Internationally, we got that recognition that we deserved. Jotham, you know, these are the kind of players you'll just keep seeing walking around.
For the first time ever, I've actually been coached by Bill Githinji. I think Impala was the first club I played for when I transitioned into club rugby. And as you put it, his strength as Bill was in actually being able to observe and highlighting your strengths and weaknesses. Not a man of too many words, but necessary words. He'd give the necessary, precise words, and that would actually just change a lot. And he really does have the vision, he does have the focus, he does have the passion and knowledge for the game. And he's a good coach.
And that is why he's here on Rugby Legends on Scrum Down. Well, that's all we have time for this week on Scrum Down. We are going to be focusing next week on more matters rugby, especially to do with the 15s. Do we have what it takes to go to the next step? Well, we are going to be leaving you with the Scrum Down fact of the week. And the Scrum Down fact of the week is... And Jason is actually the one who told us this earlier on, and
so
I think it's quite impressive.
We should probably let him say it. Then.
No, other than Nairobi School losing to Mwiri Mushiri, okay, that I think should have been a fact of the week. But let's hear it from Jason, the Scrum Down fact of the week.
Thanks, Larry. I mean, just to say that Laser Hill is the first school to have been promoted from Damopevu to Prescott and actually win it. So it's a fantastic achievement. A big congratulations again to Kevin Wambua and Kevin Atandi for the fantastic work they're doing there.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, that's all we have time for this week on Scrum Down. Until next time, go and enjoy some rugby.